You see, a few years back on a routine dig for dinosaur fossils, a landslide broke out and nearly broke my leg in two. They had to operate quickly, so they used the dinosaur bone I found to save my leg. Ever since, I've had what they call dino DNA. The doctor says it makes me stronger than your average Joe. Welcome, Custom Car fans. My name is Aurora, and I'm here to present Archetype Spotlight. This ongoing series will see a spotlight shined on some of the hundreds of custom strategies, archetypes, and support that you can find on the server. We'll explore the beloved and the forgotten, the barely viable and the meta-defining, the decks that make EXU, well, EXU. In this installment of Archetype Spotlight, it looks like it's time for the winds to blow my way. Let's take a look at Skyraptor. Skyraptor is a very interesting deck, to say the least. The deck is full of winged dinosaur monsters that have speedy effects to quickly swarm the field. They use this advantage in order to build big link bosses and fusion summon too. I should know. I designed them. Skyraptor has one particularly unique aspect, however, that sets it apart from other OTK decks. On almost every effect you activate, your opponent will draw a card. The idea behind this is that your opponent draws all the cards they need to kill you on the crackback, making Skyraptor the purest form of one-turn kill. If you can't kill in one turn, then you deserve to be killed back. In this form, however, the deck would simply be too vulnerable to hand traps, and so to allay this concern, each of the draw effects in the deck will reveal the drawn card in your opponent's hand. While a card is revealed by these effects, they can't be summoned or activate their effects, essentially punishing your opponent for playing multiple copies of hand traps. As a disclaimer, Skyraptor has not had that great of a showing so recently. It's very easy to side against. Ash, Nib, and Droll all shut down the deck, provided that they can be activated under the Skyraptor handlock. In the most recent ladder season, Skyraptor had a 60% win rate. I piloted Skyraptor to a respectable 5th place finish, and thought that I had done well to do so. In the following battleground, I was proved very wrong, being ejected before the last round of Swiss, going 1-3. Skyraptor's game plan after the sideboard is very straightforward. Your opponent had better have the out, else you'll be raining down hellfire on them. That said, if they do have the out, then you lose. There is no backup plan. With all of that, however, I've recently engineered a new list that I think will perform more than spectacularly when compared to my previous list. Let's take a look. After some hefty revisions, this is my most current Skyraptor list. Let's start off by going through the Skyraptor cards. The main deck Skyraptor monsters can be split into two halves, level 3 and level 6. The level 3 Skyraptors are Soul, Spirit, and Swift. They're all winged dinosaurs with an attack and defense that centers around 1200, and each have two common effects. They can special summon themselves from the hand while all monsters you control are winged dinosaurs, and they have an activatable effect that draws your opponent a card. Soul can add a Skyraptor monster from your deck to your hand, Spirit is the same but for spells, and Swift, when used as material for the fusion or link summon of a Skyraptor monster, can special summon a Skyraptor from the graveyard. If you use any of these effects, you won't be able to summon monsters except winged dinosaurs during that turn. Soul as the deck's primary monster search is an easy 3 of. Spirit as the deck's only spell searcher is a borderline mandatory playset. These two, Soul and Spirit, are our level 3 combo enablers. Both of them constitute one card Skyraptor combos. Swift, however, doesn't give you access to a monster search, and you need at least 2 monsters on the field to create a functional OTK. The card could be played at 1, but I like it enough at 2 because hard drawing it isn't so much of an issue. Next are the level 6 Skyraptors. Seize, Snatch, and Soar all have their attack and defense center around 1800, and all share two common effects. Firstly, they can each special summon themselves from the hand at will, though your opponent will draw a card when this happens. Second, they all have quick effects that can activate on the field. Seize sends a Skyraptor monster from the deck to the graveyard, Snatch adds a Skyraptor card from the graveyard to the hand, and Soar can shuffle 2 Skyraptors from the graveyard into the deck to draw a card. Seize being able to send Skyraptors for Snatch to pick up is a vital 2-card combo, not to mention that the level 6 Skyraptors are important for a number of other aspects in the deck. As a result, we're playing 3 of each. Soar is not as useful, as it doesn't get us specific resources, though it is useful as an extra Skyraptor name, so we play 1 copy. The 6s also contain the reason why this deck can't be splashed into other archetypes. During the turn you use either of their effects, you can't activate the effects of anything but Skyraptor cards. This means that generic dinosaur cards that you would like to play, like Fossil Dig, or Hand Trap Protection that the deck sorely needs, like Called by the Grave and Cross-Up Designator, are write-offs. Next is the spell card lineup. Skyraptor Citadel is a field spell that does 3 very good things for the deck. It searches a monster on activation and draws your opponent a card, boosts your monsters by 100 for each card in your opponent's hand, and can add a card from your opponent's graveyard to their hand, revealing it until their end phase, potentially locking them out of a vital card should they get another turn. Due to this being a combo enabler, as it can add a soul to our hand, this is a 3-of. Skyraptor Sentience is essentially Lunar Light Perfume, sending a Skyraptor from the hand or field to the graveyard to special summon a Skyraptor from the graveyard in defense position, then drawing your opponent a card, and also banishing itself from the graveyard to add a Skyraptor monster from the deck to the hand, then drawing your opponent a card. Yes, this is the 3rd monster search, and no, it's not the last. Since Sentience is a more conditional monster search than Citadel, it's generally the worst card, though 2 copies is nice because it works well with Seas. After this is 2 copies of Skyraptor Spiral, the Resident Fusion spell. This is also searchable, though it will rarely be so, through the Link 1 that we'll get to in a second. Being one of the few cards that doesn't make your opponent draw cards, a hard-drawn Spiral can be one of your only turn 1 plays. Finally, 3 copies of Skyraptor Swerve. This quick play spell targets an attack position Skyraptor you control and makes it unaffected by your opponent's cards until the end phase, drawing your opponent a card in the process. It can also reset itself to the field, though not on the same turn it's used. This is in-archetypal Hand Trap Protection and is imperative to be played at 3. The extra deck is entirely composed of Skyraptor cards, as there isn't much reason to play anything but Skyraptors due to the heavy locks on the archetype. First of all, the Link 1 Skyraptor Silverwind Shocker. It needs a level 6 Wind Dinosaur to be summoned, and on summon can do one of 2 things that makes your opponent draw a card. Add a Skyraptor Spiral from the deck to the hand to enable fusion plays, or special summon a Skyraptor back from the graveyard and then immediately link summon with it. This second effect will usually be summoning Skyraptor Silkwind Searcher, our Link 2 and 4th monster searcher. On link summon, it targets a Skyraptor you control and adds a Skyraptor with a different name but the same level from the deck to the hand, naturally drawing your opponent a card. Being a Link 2 also makes it prime fodder for our big Link 4 boss, Skyraptor Solid Wind Stalker. This behemoth of a monster has 3000 attack points, and its special summon cannot be negated. When it's link summoned, it gains 500 attack for each card in your opponent's hand permanently, making it your formidable beater to close out games. It has 2 attacks on monsters, and can discard a Skyraptor monster from your hand to lock out your opponent's card effects at the start of the battle phase. It is in the fusions that we have the only turn 1 board Skyraptors can make, in the form of level 9 Skyraptor Second Wind Squaller. Requiring 2 or more Skyraptor monsters as materials, it destroys cards your opponent controls on Fusion Summon, drawing them a card for each. In addition, during your opponent's main phase, it can return a monster they control to the hand, drawing them a card for that too. This is some of the precious little interaction Skyraptor has on the opponent's turn, so make it count. The last extra deck monster is the level 12 Skyraptor Shorewind Screamer, which needs a Skyraptor that was summoned from the extra deck and 1 or more wind dinosaurs. It burns your opponent if it was summoned with 3 or more materials, has protection while they have 5 or more cards in their hand, and can hand rip during your end phase if they have 7 or more cards in their hand, burning them Thestalos style. Realistically, you can go a number of matches without having to summon either fusion, but the cards offer enough utility that they're always important to keep in mind. It's the link monsters that you really want to understand though, as they're the bread and butter of your OTK strategy. The rest of the main deck and the entirety of the side deck are hand traps. The main deck the most generic ones, and the side more matchup dependent cards that can be sided in once deck knowledge is received. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Infinite Impermanence, and Psyframe Gamma, along with the complementary driver, fill out the main, alongside 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being. Nib is an interesting hand trap for Skyraptor, as it summons itself. While this isn't an issue with Gamma, as it banishes itself and Driver during the end phase, Nibiru sticks around, meaning that Soul, Spirit and Swift can't summon themselves from the hand. However, it can be tributed, which actually leads to a neat combo with Seize and Sentience that functions incredibly smoothly. In the side are the matchup dependent cards. Droll and Lockbird for combo decks, Artifact Lancia for banished decks, and Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion for graveyard decks. Dressarian Lotus is a hand trap that destroys an opponent's monster that was summoned from the extra deck with the ability to negate effects, working its spell speed 4 against that monster specifically. Magical Propulsion is a hand trap that counteracts back row decks, giving Skyraptor some much needed spell trap removal. Now, let's take a look at a 1-card Skyraptor combo. This is a Skyraptor 1-card combo, comboing off of Skyraptor Citadel. I made this combo myself, as you can see. Citadel is one of the main cards that's easy to combo with, since there's a number of different cards you can search, though obviously the best one to search in a 1-card combo sense is Skyraptor's Soul, as it'll allow us to get multiple Skyraptors onto the field at once. So we're going to activate Citadel, we're going to search for Soul, and then we're going to normal summon the Soul, and we're going to use the Soul effect to search for Skyraptor Seize. Now here we could search for Skyraptor Spirit, and then search for a Skyraptor Spell. However, if we did so, we wouldn't have any access to a 6, which would mean that we wouldn't have access to get to Skyraptor Silverwind Shocker, which means we wouldn't be able to get into our link plays, which is what we need to do if we're going to be OTKing. So we're now going to activate the effect of Seize to special summon itself from the hand. Our opponent's going to draw a card, but we're not going to be keeping track of how many cards they're going to draw over the course of this combo, because I'm lazy. Obviously Skyraptor Citadel would be able to return a card in the opponent's graveyard to their hand, and that would also give them an extra card. So these two are, you know, they're probably plus like 400 at the moment, something like that. Oh, and Soul also draws your opponent a card, so that's like they're like plus 500 points at the moment. It doesn't really matter. It only matters really for Solidwind Stalker. We're going to use the effect of Seize, and Seize is going to be sending to the graveyard Skyraptor Swift, because Swift is funny in the graveyard. We're then going to link off the Seize, and we're going to summon Skyraptor Silverwind Shocker, and then we're going to use the effect of Silverwind Shocker to special summon back the Skyraptor Seize, and then link summon again and summon Skyraptor Silkwind Searcher. Silkwind Searcher's effect is going to activate, targeting the Soul, and then we're going to add from the deck to the hand the Skyraptor Spirit. Then we're going to special summon the Skyraptor Spirit and use its effect in order to add from the deck to the hand a copy of Skyraptor Sentience. Here we're going to be able to do some relatively unnecessary things, because obviously we already have 4 materials on the field in order to summon a Solidwind Stalker, but Sentience will allow us to get our opponent to draw more cards, which is what we need if we want Solidwind Stalker to have a large number of cards in their hand to gain attack points off of. We're going to be sending this Spirit to the graveyard since it has less attack points, and special summon the Swift back in defense position as per the effect of Sentience. Then we're going to use the effect in the graveyard of Sentience, banishing it from the graveyard to add from the graveyard to the hand, or add from the deck to the hand, sorry, Skyraptor Snatch. Next up, we are going to activate the effect of Skyraptor Snatch to special summon itself from the hand, and our opponent's going to draw another card off of that, but we're not keeping track of that, obviously. But we do this first, because then that means that our opponent has an extra card in hand for when we link summon Skyraptor Solidwind Stalker. Then we're going to link together the Swift, the Soul, and the Silkwind Searcher to summon the Skyraptor Solidwind Stalker. Solidwind Stalker's effect is going to activate to gain a lot of attack points as Chainlink 1, and as Chainlink 2 we're going to use the effect of Swift, so our opponent draws yet another card before we do so. This will special summon back the Skyraptor Seize, and then we'll be adding to the hand with the effect of Skyraptor Snatch, the Skyraptor Soul, just in case we need it, either for next turn or to discard for Solidwind Stalker's effect to block all effects during our opponent's battle phase. Or during our battle phase, sorry. Now, let's take a look at a replay that showcases Skyraptor's ability to OTK. So this is a replay versus Fallen. I'm obviously playing Skyraptor, and we're going to be aiming to win the die roll, as we will. And then we're going to be looking to go second, as we are obviously an OTK deck, and we're going to look to break through our opponent's board with all of the going second tools that we definitely have. We've drawn 1 hand trap and 4 Skyraptors, which is largely unnecessary, and Fallen is playing True Draco. What a lovely deck. He told me afterwards that he was considering playing Border Stun, but that wouldn't have been very enjoyable. He's going to start by activating Disciples of the Draco Phoenix, and then immediately tributing over that Draco Phoenix in order to summon Mariam, the True Draco Caster. Then he's going to set 2 and pass turn. Peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Gameplay, eh? We're going to draw into Ogre. How useful. It's not like Infant was doing much in our hand anyway. We're going to go to the main one. We're going to use the effect of Snatch first, and we're going to special summon it. The reason why we're not going to be using Soul at any point early on in this combo is because I know for a fact that Fallen has back row that do things here, which obviously he does. He has Apocalypse and he has Return. Though it's not any of his powerful floodgates like Summon Limit or Skill Drain, they're still pieces of interaction that I need to be careful of. And if Soul gets popped here, it's rough for me. Well, it would be rough if I didn't have Sentience, but it'd still be rough. I want to keep Soul in rotation. I want to actually use Soul's effect, which is why we're going to be baiting out these interruptions. So Mariamne is going to obviously activate on the activation of Skyraptor's Snatch, and she is going to add from the deck to the hand an Ignis Heat to the True Draco Warrior. And then I'm going to be able to resolve my special summon of Skyraptor Snatch, and Fallen is going to draw a card, and he's going to reveal Summon Limit. Very good. This means that if either of these were Summon Limit, they would not be able to activate, which is very good for me. Next, I'm going to be using the effect of Skyraptor Swift to special summon itself from the hand, since I control all wind dinosaur monsters, and it's going to come out. Fallen's going to think here, because Fallen knows that as soon as I have 2 Skyraptors on my field, I have the capability to combo. So he's going to immediately be activating True Draco Apocalypse in order to tribute summon immediately this Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter, recently unbanned to 3, or unlimited to 3 copies. Then the effect of the True Draco Apocalypse is going to activate and is going to target and destroy Skyraptor Swift. But that isn't too much of an issue for us, since we do have the capability of using the effect of Skyraptor Snatch to return the Swift to our hand. Dynamite Knight is going to chain onto this effect though, and is going to be adding from the deck to the hand True King's Return. Okay, that's fine. Swift is going to be added to the hand, and then we are going to normal summon Swift, on which Fallen is also going to activate True King's Return. This is excellent. This means that both of the cards that Fallen has are pop disruptions, and we still get to keep Soul in hand. This True King's Return is going to be used to tribute summon this Ignis Heat, the True Draco Warrior, and then is going to be using the effect of the True King's Return to pop the Swift again. Still a very strange choice considering how Snatch is the only one that can go into a Silverwind Shocker, but Fallen also doesn't really know Skyraptors that well, so I can't really blame him. We're going to be using the effect of Soul, and we're going to special summon the Soul from the hand. Ignis Heat is going to chain, and it is going to be adding from the deck to the hand Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, although that's not really going to matter. Soul's effect is going to activate, and we're going to be adding from our deck to hand a Skyraptor monster, which is going to be Skyraptor Spirit, and we are absolutely off to the races, and Fallen has not got any interruption whatsoever. He's going to draw into a Draco Warrior and reveal it, which is completely useless. Pretty much everything that Fallen draws from now on is completely useless. The only thing that we need to keep track of is what Fallen has in his hand, as long as it, like, if Fallen doesn't draw into a hand trap, and either of these cards, like, if this card was a hand trap, we could have been in a bit of an issue. Wait, which of these cards? Has he drawn all of these cards? He's used every card that was in his original hand. We don't even need to be scared of hand traps. I was scared of hand traps the entire time. Oh, I feel like such an idiot. Spirit's effect is going to activate to special summon itself from the hand, and then it's going to use its effect in order to add a Skyraptor from the deck to the hand. Here, I'm wondering whether I should add a Citadel or I should add a Swerve from deck to hand, since we have the Sentience. Citadel is nice because it gets us a monster search. But what monster would we search? Saw? That doesn't seem particularly good to me. So we're actually going to be adding from the deck to the hand the Skyraptor Swerve, which is useful as hand trap insulation. Which would be useful as hand trap insulation if Fallen had a hand trap. This basically means that something like Solid Wind Stalker against something like Nib would be able to stay on the field, and we'd probably still be able to OTK Fallen, which is important. Fallen's going to draw into Skill Drain, which is lovely. Sentience is going to activate. We're going to send this Spirit to the graveyard, and we're going to special summon the Swift back from the graveyard. This is important because there's actually no level 6s on the field. There's no level 3s anymore that we want to search off of Silkwind Searcher, because, well, we've already summoned all of them by their own effects, and their effects to summon themselves are a hard once per turn effect. However, we do want a 6, or we can at least use a 6. So by using Sentience to summon back the Swift, we can then use the Sentience effect in the graveyard in order to search for a Skyraptor Seize. They're going to draw. Fallen's going to draw into Dynamite Knight, which is lovely. Sure, why not? and we're going to banish the Sentience in order to add Skyraptor Seas from the deck to the hand. This is also going to make it draw, and it's going to be Draco Heritage, which is delightful. Seiz's effect is going to special summon itself from the hand, and our opponent's going to draw a card again off of that, Solemn Judgment, and you can see that this deck really does have the capability to draw your opponent a lot of cards. And how in any regular deck, if your opponent came to their turn again, you would be dead because they would have 15 cards in their hand. We're going to link off the Skyraptor Snatch here to summon the Skyraptor Silverwind Shocker, and we're going to use the effect of the Silverwind Shocker in order to special summon back this Skyraptor Snatch from the graveyard. Fallen reveals Inspective Order, which is very scary, but luckily we don't need to worry about it. We can link together the Snatch and the Silverwind Shocker in order to link summon the Skyraptor Silkwind Searcher, and then use Silkwind to target the Seas. Since we've already used Snatch and Seiz's effect to special summon themselves from the hand this turn, that means we have one target left. This is why I play the one-off Skyraptor Saw. Skyraptor Saw's effect will allow us to special summon it from the hand, making our opponent draw a card in the process. And then we are going to use the effect of Skyraptor Saw for once in our lives, and shuffle back to Skyraptors. Because why not? This could lead to something fun. We pretty much already have game on board, so most of this is just playing. We're going to draw into Skyraptor Spiral, which is a very, very funny top deck. And we're going to use this effect to fuse together our 2/3s in order to summon a Skyraptor Second Wind Squaller. Skyraptor Second Wind Squaller's effect is going to activate as well as the Skyraptor Swift. Swift is going to special summon back from the graveyard the Skyraptor Soul, and our opponent is going to draw another card. And then that's going to be Draco Apocalypse, and then we're going to use the effect of Second Wind Squaller to pop both the Dynamite Knight and the Ignis Heat the True Draco Warrior. Our opponent's going to draw two cards, which are going to be Heritage and Diagram, both of which completely useless, and they would be if they were anything else. We're then going to link summon using these three, and we're going to summon Skyraptor Solid Wind Stalker, and this is going to be the end of the game. Solid Wind Stalker's effect is going to activate. Our opponent has 14 cards in their hand, which means that Solid Wind Stalker goes up to 10,000 attack, and we're going to end the main phase. And go to the battle phase. That is going to be at 7,700 points of damage. And then Seize is going to beat in 4 lethal. Overall, I adore Skyraptor. Though this may just be bias talking, I genuinely think that the deck is super neat. It has a powerful OTK strategy to go second, and the engine is small enough that we have the ability to play 15 hand traps in the main. While we didn't get to see those hand traps putting in work, as Infinite Impermanence doesn't really do much against normal Summon Majesty Maiden set 2 pass, I'm sure against combo-oriented decks, they will help to keep the opponent from assembling a board. That's it for today's Archetype Spotlight. Please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, tell us what you thought down in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more content. Remember to turn on the notification bell as well, so you won't miss a single upload. There is a link down in the description to join our Discord server, where you too can explore a vast array of cards we have to offer, play competitively or casually, and chat with other custom card creators around the world. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.